More of your go-to for all things home. This is Home Answers Radio, presented by JeffBuysYourHouse.com, Access, Level 10 Coatings, Steiner Homes, Center Guard Plumbing, and by American Beam and Steel. Once again, here's Roger Piper.
Your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio.
Hi, welcome to Home Answers. I'm Roger Piper. This show is all about your home, and we talk about everything that has to do with your home. Today, we're going to talk about when you've made the decision that it's time to sell a home. We've got an expert with us, Jeff Neidiger with Jeff Buys Your House. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Roger.
You know, everybody knows when, all right, first of all, let's say you've made the decision. I'm going to sell the house. Maybe it's a house you inherited. Maybe it's your house. Maybe it's a rental unit that you decide you're going to let go of. When you've made that decision, everybody knows the process. The process is you call a realtor. And you go through everything and all the stuff involved with that. And Jeff, you offer an alternative to that. Tell us about the process that they go through with you, Jeff, when it comes to buying that house.
Yeah, you're right, Roger. The process with us is a little less traditional, as you mentioned. So I think what homeowners really enjoy is our process of we come in and we offer something different. So we are a cash home buyer in the Chicagoland market. And again, we're buying properties as is, which means it's kind of as they sit. When we see them with you, when we walk the property, that's how we're going to purchase the house. And that is obviously a lot more streamlined, right? There's no commission, there's no hidden fees or anything. And so it's a very streamlined, very easy approach. You have some control now over the time frame of when you want to close, whether that's a couple weeks or a couple of months. And so there's a little more flexible. It's really a tailor-made approach to home selling. And, it's for a lot of people. It's not for everyone, but it provides it eases the burden of selling, let's say.
Yeah. And when you're selling a house, there are a lot of burdens involved. Just a few off the top of my head. First of all, you got to figure out the price. You got to hope it sells. You got to have the right realtor. You've got to look at showing. You've got to look at staging. You've got to look at possibly repairs. You've got to sweat whether you're going to close or not, because they fall apart. That happens. I mean, it is an incredibly stressful situation. And you have to think about it. Is that worth it? Is it worth it? Or can you just say, you know what? I'm going to sell it as is. I know that it's going to close. I know I'm going to get this price. And that's it. So really, that's kind of what you offer is that simplicity, which I know if you inherited a home, say somebody passed away, or you've got a rental property you want to get rid of. That really matters, doesn't it? Because it takes away the uncertainty, because you may not end up getting what you want from that house when it hits the market. I mean, there is so much uncertainty. Whenever I bought or sold, I mean, it's the craziest time, and it's one of the craziest times in your life. And you really can help take a lot of that stress. And what are some of the situations that you've encountered where the house itself was only a small part of what that homeowner was actually dealing with?
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of good points. You've obviously had some experience with the home buying and selling process, and like most homeowners that have owned a few houses, they've gone through some of the ups and downs. I've not really met a person ever that really said, I can't wait to sell, meaning they want the process to be over, but they don't want to go through it, right? So I think, but to your question, so a lot of the folks that are going to end up working with us or that are interested in going this route are, like you said, the inherited properties. Someone in that family passes away, and there's an estate or a property that has to be sold. So we're really experts at working with the heirs, brother, sister, husband, wife, whoever, could be extended family. And a lot of them, Roger, they don't live in the area. They're not in Illinois. And so we're really good at kind of being the bridge between, who might be here in Illinois and who might be, in California or even abroad, right? So that is a main attraction for a lot of folks is the inherited properties. But there's hoarder houses. You mentioned the landlords that have maybe rentals that they've had for years, and they're done with it, right? It was a business, and now it's not, and they want to move on, and they've got maybe 2 or 3 or 4 houses that they said, I've got tenants, I want you to take care of them, but I want to be out of the business. And it could just be your longtime family home. A lot of the folks that are selling to us, they're they'd been there 20, 30, 40 years. And the one thing I wanted to hit on that you mentioned earlier is it's pretty high emotion situation. Oftentimes, it's not always the case, but we find that because it's really not that comfortable, and it is a burden to sell the house. If you live there, for sure, it's a burden. But it's an emotional situation, and so we've got a personalized approach that really helps people walk through that. And so we want to be the kind of the guide, so to speak, when you want to sell the house. We want to help educate you and then provide the certainty that you mentioned, Roger, the certainty to an uncertain situation where you can close with ease.
Yeah, and I think that's worth a lot. It really is. We're talking with Jeff Neidiger with Jeff Buys Your House, and I really, really, really encourage you to go to the website, jeffbuysyourhouse.com, and you can call them at 630-895-9530, 630-895-9530. And again, jeffbuysyourhouse.com. That's the best way. Go to the website. You can see all the information on there. And, I don't think we can talk about the stress of that, of selling, any more than it really is. Once you experience it, if you've ever experienced it going bad, then you understand what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of people, Jeff, that think, okay, if I'm going to sell my house as is, if I don't have to worry about cleaning it out and things like that, and it's amazing what you can acquire in 10, 20, 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
And there's certain things that you have to, sell into storage and things like that. All of those things are not going to be offered by the realtor, right? And then the realtor is going to have the commission that's going to be involved. And you have to really, kind of wrap your head around that a little bit, because a lot of people think if I sell my house as is, I'm going to get a horrible price. I'm going to get ripped off, okay? And that really isn't necessarily the case, is it?
No, I think like any seller that is interested in possibly going this route, even investigating it, like you said, I think one of the things that we lean on a lot is what our sellers actually say after we buy the property from them. So in this case, you can go to the Better Business Bureau, or Google reviews is a very popular way. And I think what you'll find on there, and these are written by real sellers, by real people that we've actually bought the property from. They've gone through our process, and they've all come from all of these different inherited downsizing, senior living transition, financial hardship type situations. And they're saying that the offers, were fair and the entire journey is straightforward. And sometimes the offer doesn't line up. It's really sometimes no different than what you might get from putting your house on the market and someone else coming through and saying, I see your price, but I'm going to offer you this. And that's what they want to pay. And that's not what you want to sell for. That's no different than any type of buying and selling, negotiating. But we're trying to provide a reasonable solution. And the price really is showing you that, well, in order for us to take on all the repairs, all of the clean out, your time frame, all of that, paying all the costs, right? Making it, as stress-free as possible. But I think a lot of people are looking at saying, should I put it on the market and deal with all that, or should I just go this route? I think a lot of times people are saying, I wish I'd have heard about this, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 2 months ago.
Yep.
And so check us out, and it's a no obligation appointment. It's a no obligation offer. We're not here to waste your time. We're here to provide a solution that hopefully could work for you.
Yeah, and I think that if you're looking at selling any house, and by the way, you do condos as well, right? I mean,
yes, condos, townhomes, 1 to 5 unit buildings, which are pretty common in Chicagoland. Sure.
Yeah, and I think that if you're looking at doing it, you're not doing yourself justice if you don't at least investigate it, because it's not the old days. The old days when you had companies that would pay for cash on your house, they were offering you pennies on the dollar. That's not the way it is anymore. And the business model is that, you can do all the repairs, you have the realtors, you have all that stuff, so it's easy for you. It's almost like wholesaling for you, so people understand how the process works. It's going to cost them retail to do what you do wholesale, and that's how you make money. And so I can't think of any reason why somebody wouldn't give you a phone call and at least look at that if they're looking to sell their house, because then you've got an apple and you've got an orange, okay, and trying to figure that out. How long does it take for somebody to close if they want? Let's say that you're in a situation where you'd like to close, as soon as possible, and of course with real estate going the normal way, that could vary a lot. It might be something negotiated with the buyer, etc. But Tell us a little bit about the closing process, Jeff.
Sure. Well, in Illinois, the really the county or even the city or the village, wherever you might live in the Chicagoland metro or even in the city, a lot of times determines that. Meaning they don't really control necessarily when you can close, whether that be 3 days or 30 days or whatever. But what I can say is the reality behind closing is really it's going to be up to the title company, clearing any liens that there might be. And so the answer to your question, Roger, really is for the seller to hear that it's going to be probably 10 days to 2 weeks minimum. And it doesn't matter who you sell to. It would be,
Right.
It could be me, it could be you, it could be anybody. We're going to move as fast as anybody can move because no one buys more houses than we buy. So 2 weeks really is kind of the minimum, which I've not really ran into many sellers over the last 20 years that needed to close quicker than that. If they were, I guess, up against the time frame, let's say even a foreclosure, we don't see many of those anymore, but they are out there. Then if you've got an offer, we can usually get those to push back at least 30 days, if not 60 days. But beyond that, I would say 2 weeks minimum. And we have closings right now that are out 90 days. We don't really prefer to go beyond 90 days because the market shifts, things change.
Right.
But with anything inside that time frame, it gives you a lot of flexibility. If you're looking to move or you have to move and you needed a closing date that was, beyond kind of the traditional 30 days or so, we can accommodate that. This is part of the conversation that we have up front to make sure we're in alignment. And I think that's how it should work. Just open communication.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Good thing to check out. Jeff Buys Your House. Jeff Neidinger, thanks for being on the show. The phone number is 630-895-9530, 630-895-9530. Go to the website, jeffbuysyourhouse.com. It's got all the information. This is Home Answers on AM 560, The Answer.